Well, one of the most iconic teams in comic book history is about to return to Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the often overlooked mutant superhero team from Canada, Alpha Flight, and their new return. Well, as many of you know, the mutant world of the Marvel Universe is in full shakeup, and the upcoming Fall of X event will enter a new era of uncertainty, mystery, and danger for the mutants of the Marvel Universe. And in the middle of the storm, a very familiar superhero team hailing from the Great White North, Alpha Flight, will indeed return to the pages of Marvel Comics. Now, they're probably one of the more overlooked teams in Marvel Comics, but they've been around for a really long time, making their first appearance back in 1979 in Uncanny X-Men number 120, and they were developed by John Byrne. Now, interestingly enough, they were supposed to be a one-off, only used for those issues they appeared, but eventually it became an ongoing title and initially published from 83 to 94, having quite an impressive run. Now, this new upcoming series will be written by Ed Bryson, who's been working on New Mutants, and the art is going to be from Marvel Comics newcomer Scott Godlewski. Additionally, they're introducing a new concept for this project that has almost got a sure Civil War type effect, and we'll see Alpha Flight members face off with each other. Now, in the series, they're going to actually introduce two conflicting Alpha Flight squads that'll basically pick up in the events after this year's Hellfire Gala. Now, the fallout from these upcoming X-Men events will put the Canadian government on the offense. Not only are they building a completely new line of Sentinels, they're going to assign a government-sponsored team to de-escalate the mutant conflicts by any means necessary. But there will be a second Alpha Flight team that joins the fight, striking from the shadows and taking up a completely different position. Now, we do know that Guardian, Puck, Snowbird, and Shaman will return as the terrestrial Alpha Flight team. But whatever this schism is, it is going to pit them against some of their former teammates, which will be Aurora, Northstar, and Nemesis, as well as Aurora's beau, Fang. Now, we did get our first look at the cover of Alpha Flight number 1. Let's go ahead and check that out. Yeah, this is pretty classic, but no big surprises. I do like the mysterious shadowing in the background of the 4 characters who are estranged from the group, and it is classic Alpha Flight through and through. But obviously, there is no big reveals. Now, in Marvel's press release, Bryson had a lot to say about the upcoming project, and clearly it's something he's thought about for a really long time. This is what he had to say. Like every Canadian kid who grew up reading comics, one of my biggest dreams was to write for Alpha Flight. Unfortunately, Sasquatch is currently indisposed, but the opportunity to bring the rest of the team together, even if they're split and fighting each other, is an absolute dream come true. And for those wondering if I've forgotten anyone, rest assured I haven't. There are a few surprises for Alpha Flight fans in the mix, but I won't be spoiling anything. Now, honestly, this whole series is pretty exciting, and Alpha Flight really has been underused for a long time. As a comic reader of the 80s, I remember when Alpha Flight was on the front of the spinner rack and a very popular book, followed by a lot of fans of the X-Men. Now, the fact that they're setting up a very Civil War-like storyline between two groups of Alpha Flight members should bring fans absolutely running back to the store to pick up this series. And we'll see some matchups for the team that we've never seen before. I will say, my probably only concern is once again this is a story seeing heroes face off with other heroes, something Marvel has leaned on a lot in the past. But interestingly enough, most of Marvel's stories that lean on that trope are set within the United States. And because this will all be set in Canada, with Canadian heroes and Canadian teams, with the Canadian government controlling it all, it really will give them a little bit of a different opportunity to tell a different story. And the Alpha Flight heroes have always been just that, different. Now, like you said, there are a lot of names that we haven't thrown out here, and I do suspect some of them that we haven't heard from will return. Whether this means Major Maple Leaf, Sasquatch, or Yukon Jack, well, we're gonna have to wait and see.